Well, I had a very interesting day on Sunday. It's a long story. I could tell it as a short story or a long story, but the long story is more interesting.
Well, that's fine, mate, because we're here for a little while.
All right, so I'm having a shower around, 5:30 or so on Sunday. And I'm in the shower and I'm noticing the bathroom light is getting dim and then coming back up in brightness. I'm thinking, what's going on there? And I had the grey water pump on and I thought, don't tell me that's got a fault. And I thought, it can't be, it's got a 10 amp breaker on it. It can't be dragging that much current. That'd trip the breaker or something. I don't understand what's going on there anyway. So I finished my shower and anyway, I went to turn the shower off and I got a really strong tingle off the hot water tap. And I thought, that didn't feel good. That's not supposed to happen. What's going on here? Has the pump got a fault? Hang on, it can't be because it's on an isolation transformer. You wouldn't get an earth fault on that. And so I switched the pump off when I got out of the shower and the light came back up in brightness. And I thought, must be getting waterlogged down there or something. But I still didn't understand how I could get a tingle off the tap from it. So anyway, go back into my room here, and the UPS is beeping. And I thought, what's going on here? We've got a power problem. And I look at the voltmeter, and it's normally 13.3, 13.4 when it's on charge, and the voltmeter's over on the supply that charges it. And it's reading 12.6. And I thought, we've got a mains problem. Is it a brownout or something? And I put the voltmeter on, my little plug-in voltmeter, and it was down around 170 volts. Because I noticed the light wouldn't come on straight away when I came in the room. But my work lamp, my LED work lamp was running fine. So then I thought, what am I going to do here? And I thought, the UPS has triggered because the mains is too low, but the mains is still on. I better switch the UPS off because it's never gonna be able to charge the battery with the low mains. And so I switched the UPS off, and the computer keeps going fine. Everything else is running fine, but the lights in the house won't sort of come on too well. And so I thought, I better, if we've got a brownout, I'd better go turn off the fridge and freezer and let them know. And so I went and turned off the fridge and the freezer, and the voltage came up to 205. And I thought, that's funny. Why is it making such a big difference on the voltage? And so anyway, I rang Energex, and they said, they asked me if I'd noticed any tingles or any taps. I said, yeah, actually, when I got out of the shower, the hot water tap gave me a strong tingle. And she sort of advised me to get a medical check because that's just their policy, because you can get problems from having electric shock. But it wasn't that bad because the shower recess is all plastic now and there's not really any earth path except through the water. And she's telling me to not touch any metal appliances and not touch any taps, and they'll send the first available crew out. And I'm thinking, I know what's happened. We've lost the neutral.
Sounds that way because your neutral and the earths are tied in, aren't they? So you've lost something.
Yeah, so because I remember reading about it in Silicon Chip. And if you lose your neutral connection, all the mains return current goes through the earth. And so the earth voltage goes up because it's got all this current dumped into it. And if the earth voltage goes up, all your earth appliances become live. And if you were to touch something like a metal appliance, like a toaster or something, and a kitchen sink that might be grounded to a drain, you could get an electric shock, and it could be fatal because it happens to plumbers all the time, they reckon. Energex guy I spoke to said, it happens all the time. When plumbers cut a pipe or something, and if it's got a neutral fault, they get electrocuted. So anyway, So we, when they turned up, that was about an hour later, and in the meantime, just before they turned up, the voltage went off completely, or it appeared to go off completely, and I looked and it was way under like 150, and the computer went off, and I thought, oh yeah, I had a shower, the hot water system's probably cut on, so I went and turned the hot water system off and the voltage came back up, so it sort of pretty much proves it. So anyway, they eventually got here at 7 o'clock. They they opened up the switchboard and did some tests, and they went out and pulled the pole fuse, did some tests, and he found the neutral was completely open circuit. He was pretty sure it was on the feed where it came in, and so he got up on a ladder and had a look, and yep, I'll show you a picture of it. Where's a picture? Hang on, I'll show you a picture of the connector.
Wow. Yeah, it's kind of not the same, but reminiscent of the my half burnt-out pulse fuse where the lights are all, it looked like it had a poltergeist or something like that in the house. Oh dear, that's not good at all, is it? Nasty, nasty.
For the last few weeks, I've noticed the mains dipping down and coming back up. And I thought it was a fault somewhere. I thought there was a tree leaning on the high voltage wires up the hill or something. And so I was keeping my eyes open, but I didn't sort of notice anything else. I only noticed it here in the house. So that's what it was. It would have been that. And it's probably come loose. It could have been from the possums swinging on it for all I know, because I know they crawl along that wire. But it's been there. It probably hasn't been touched for a long time. It might have been redone when they changed our lead into a twisted pair from the two discrete wires, which was done back in about, I don't know, it was several years ago when the wires got snapped when a car hit a pole down the road. So, but anyway, well, it was obviously getting loose over time, but yeah, and it had a high resistance. So, yeah, basically, they replaced that, even though technically it wasn't Energix's problem because it was on our side. They replaced it anyway. They had a spare connector box, so they put it in, and it was all fixed in about 90 minutes. But my lightning conductor on this antenna mast is actually grounded into the mains, so I reckon the majority of the current was actually going through the cables out to my antenna and into that ground, because I calculated the earth resistance, and it was only like 11.7 ohms based on the voltage drops I was seeing. So most of that current would have been going through my antenna cables and out to the grounding out on this mast. So if I had disconnected any of my antenna coax cables, I could have got a fatal shock off that. So, you know, I thought about measuring the current at the time, because I thought that's probably going through my ground out there, and I thought, no, better not try and disconnect it, because I'd probably get a boot off it, at least. And if I had a clamp on ammeter, it would have been all right. I could have just clamped it on and measured it. So, yeah, it's just something to be wary of. If your lights start to flicker and your taps start to give you tingles, call Energix, because that can be very, very dangerous.
Well, my mate Colin, he's a plumber. He, when he was apprentice, I think one of his colleagues got killed or something, but the same thing. They were doing a hot water system repair, and he grabbed hold of the hot water system to disconnect it, and that was the end of him, apparently. So, yeah, fully aware of that one, mate. And yeah, like you say, plumbers is exactly what it was. He was a plumber.
Yeah, because I read about that one in Silicon Chip and thought, oh yeah, that's a pretty nasty one, because you wouldn't expect it. You expect the electrical stuff to be separate, even though it might be attached to the earthing system. You wouldn't sort of think that, just offhand, you wouldn't think that a copper pipe would be carrying a huge amount of current, but it just goes to show when there's a fault, things find their own pathways depending on what's connected, The voltage drop on the mains is equivalent to the voltage rise on the earth. So I probably had something like 100 or so volts on the earth when I got out of the shower. So if we had our old cast iron bathtub with a metal drain pipe, who knows what might have happened.
Yeah. Does your house have the earth leakage detector and stuff like that? I mean, like, I don't know if in your situation it'd trip it anyway. I don't know how. I'm not 100% sure whether it's more of a short, that isn't it, a fault. But I don't know what the situation would be like if. I'm not quite sure. But you only need like a couple of milliamp or microamps or something, and those things go off,
Well, I have checked into it and they don't work. In that situation, they don't work because the active and neutral currents are still balanced, because all your return current is going back through the neutral for all your appliances, and then it's going to ground on the other side of the protector. So the protection circuit doesn't register a fault. And so you can think you're all protected, and you still can die from electrocution in that particular case, because it won't shut it off, because the active and neutral still have balanced currents, and then it's just going back through the earth on the other side of the safety switch. So then it comes back on your earthing line. So the better the earth you have, the less chance you'll get a problem. So it's a good case for maybe putting a second earth in and paralleling it with the first one. And where they've got like Energex transformers and stuff, they often put in, from what I'm told, they often put in more than one earth rod if they have to. Sort of not only makes it more reliable, it gives them a lower earth resistance. So when there's a fault, you get lower voltages.
Yeah, well, I didn't think it'd matter because it's looking for a different kind of fault. Yeah, oh well. Yeah, not good, eh? I know that I've got these, I don't know if you would have picked it up. I've got a wall plugger tester. It's an old school thing, and it's got three, I think they're probably neons. There's a red, an amber, and a green. And you plug it into a power point, and if it comes up green, your earth, your active, and all that's all in order. If it comes up with amber or something, it means that there's a fault. It's like that you've got your active and neutral or something is reversed or something. There's a little chart for it anyway, And of course there's the red one which comes on, it tells you if the earth's missing, or I think it comes up red if there's no earth or something.
Yeah, those sort of testers won't pick up a broken neutral fault. In fact, there's not many that do. I mean, the only way you can pick it is by the drop in voltage under load. So you've got to turn on a load and look at the voltage drop. And when the voltage drops, the earth voltage rises. And so it's actually kind of a dangerous thing to do. I'm sort of lucky when I was in the shower that I didn't stay in there any longer, because if the hot water system had come on as well while I was in the shower, that earth voltage would have gone sky high. It would have been up probably well over 100 volts, and it would have been even more dangerous than it was. Something to be wary of. If your lights start to flicker and your taps start to give you tingles, call Energex, because that can be very, very dangerous.